Good morning, students. We were discussing colloids. So, what is the difference between a colloid and a crystalloid that you should understand? Colloid particles are bigger than crystalloid. Crystalloids are substances which are prepared by dissolving salts, any type of salts, for example, sugar, any crystal which is dissolved in water, normal solutions. But colloids are having particle size bigger than two solutions. The first glass shows dissolution of sugar in water, yeah, salt in water. This is a true solution. Yeah, yeah, this is called a crystalloid, and this is known as a colloid because the particle size are bigger. The solution is not transparent. Now we come to the preparation of solutions. When we prepare a solution, using chemical method, there are different methods for preparation of solutions. The first method which we adopt is chemical method. It can be prepared by first method what we discuss is chemical decomposition. You can see here chemical decomposition. As2O3 plus 3H2S, arsenic oxide, react with oxide of arsenic, react with hydrogen sulfide. Both will be decomposed. This also will be decomposed. So reactant, first reactant also will be decomposed. Second reactant also will be decomposed. And arsenic combined with the sulfur, arsenic combined with the sulfur of the second reactant, you will get arsenic or arsenic sulfide salt. Okay, this is salt of arsenic, or it is a colloid will be formed. And water is left out. Water acids, H2 combined with oxygen to form water. So both reactants are decomposed. So it is called a double decomposition. Now it comes SO2 and H2S. This is oxidation. SO2 oxidation is addition of oxygen. So hydrogen combined with oxygen, you get water. So this is an oxidation reaction, and colloidal sulfur will be formed. This sulfur dispersed in water. As2S3 dispersed in water. This is a colloid. This is a colloid. Salt is a solid dispersed in liquid. This case, okay. Now it comes to gold chloride. AuCl3 is good. Au is aurum. Gold chloride. This is a reaction reduction. React with the formaldehyde and water. Reduction is the Au oxidation state is +3 here. Here the oxidation state of gold has come to 0. +3 to 0. So what happened to gold? It undergo reduction. So this is an example of reduction. AuCl3 converted to gold by treatment with the gold salt. I mean gold colloidal solution of gold. Why? By treating with formaldehyde and water. This is called a reduction. Now it is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is addition of water. This experiment you will do in lab. Ferric chloride when treated with water, this will undergo hydrolysis. This becomes ferric hydroxide salt. So we have prepared a salt of arsenic, salt of sulfur, salt of gold, and salt of ferric hydroxide. First method is double decomposition. Second method is oxidation. Third method is reduction. And fourth method is hydrolysis. Hope it is clear to you. Now the second method of preparation is Bredick's arc method. This is normally used for the preparation of gold, silver, platinum, etc. See, this is used for the preparation of gold, silver, and platinum salts. What is the specialty of the metal? These are not easily soluble in water. Their melting points are very high. So what we do is very high heat. You can see the apparatus. See the apparatus clearly. In this, you can see two electrodes. These electrodes are made up of silver or gold. Suppose the electrodes are made up of gold. We pass very high in intense heat will be produced when we pass large amount of electricity between these two electrodes. An electric arc, and देखो electric arc is struck between electrodes, and this metal is immersed in a proper dispersion medium. Suppose you want to prepare a colloid of water, the electrodes of gold is immersed in water, and the other end is connected to an electrical source. When you pass high voltage electricity through the electrodes will vaporize. And the vaporized electrodes, this apparatus has got a cover. There is a dome here which is covering the apparatus. So the vaporized yes, gold, yeah, silver, yeah, platinum, whichever electrode you have taken, suppose it is gold, the vaporized gold, atomized gold atoms, the vaporized gold atoms will be will be cooled and condensed inside the chamber. You consider this as the chamber. This will be condensed inside the chamber and it will be come back to the solution. It will fall back to the solution, and to cool the mixture, because we are passing high voltage electricity, so the water is keep on with it will be kept in an ice bath or a freezing mixture. Otherwise, the water will also vaporize due to heat. So it will be cooled so that the gold particles will be dispersed inside the dispersion medium. It is written here. In this method, electric arc is stuck between electrodes of metal immersed in dispersion medium. You can see this. The intense heat produced vaporizes a metal, which then condenses to particles of colloidal size. So you get particles of colloidal size. Fine. So this is a method of producing colloids of gold, silver, and platinum. Okay. Now, purification of colloid. Why we need purification is when we take a colloid, suppose you are preparing a colloid by mixing starch in water. Starch may contain some sort of impurities. Your water may be contaminated. So the contamination should be removed. Suppose you are preparing a colloid by any of the chemical methods. See this, you see this methods. Here water is present, water may have contamination. Here you have formic acid is present and HCl is also there. Here also you have the fourth method also you have HCl. So removal of these impurities other than the colloidal particle, any other chemical, what are the chemicals in this case present? Here excess of water is there. Here you have formaldehyde and here you have HCl present. So this excess of impurities has to be removed from the colloidal solution. Hope you understood what I told you. So we need to purify the colloidal solution, and so small is normally comes to peptidization, purification. Okay, purification of colloids. So we use four methods for purification of colloids: dialysis, electrodialysis, ultrafiltration, and ultracentrifugation. One by one, we will discuss it. So we'll first come to dialysis. Dialysis is used for the purification of colloid. So in dialysis, the process of removing a dissolved substance from colloidal solution by means of diffusion through a suitable membrane. Since the particles or ions or small molecules in the true solution can pass through animal membrane or any bladder or a parchment membrane, means animal membrane is also called a parchment membrane. It is also known as a bladder or a cellophane sheet. These all are having very small holes which will allow only the medium to pass through. Colloidal particles are having bigger size, so they will not pass through the parchment membrane. Okay, so the membrane this method can be used for the separation of the medium and dispersed phase. So the apparatus used for this purpose is called dialyzer. The apparatus used for dialysis is known as dialyzer. In dialyzer, what we do is a bag of suitable membrane containing the colloid, a bag of suitable membrane containing the colloidal solution is suspended in a vessel through which fresh water is continuously flowing. A dialyzer is an apparatus which contains a bag of suitable membrane. In that bag will be containing colloidal particle and it will be placed in water. See this? This is a dialyzer. This is made up of a parchment membrane. This is a bag which is made up of either animal skin or any cellophane or whatever it is. This contain what? Water as well as soil particles inside. See, soil particle as well as water. So what happened through this parchment membrane? Only water molecule can come out. So the water molecule will be coming out through the parchment membrane because it has got so many holes. Through the holes, the water will be coming out. So any ions dissolved in water, H plus ions, Cl minus ions, any ions which is dissolved in water other than the colloidal particle will come out through the membrane. Ultimately, what is left out inside? Only dispersed phase is left inside. Medium totally coming out. As a medium will be coming out. So only dispersed phase colloidal particle will be left out and we will be adding fresh medium inside which do not contain any impurities. So you get a pure colloid. That is what it is written. The molecules or ions diffuse through the membrane into outer water and pure colloidal solution is left behind. Once again, this apparatus is called dialyzer. In dialyzer, we kept the colloidal solution containing impurities. If the impurities are dissolved in the dispersion medium will come out through this parchment membrane because the colloidal particles are big and dispersion medium particles are small. So the smaller particles will come out through this membrane and as it come out through the membrane, the bag contains only colloidal particle and we mix it with fresh water so that you will get pure colloid. We are discussing the purification of colloid. If the colloidal solution, this method is very slow. So what we do is we will apply electricity in water. We keep an anode in the solvent water and we keep a cathode in water and pass electricity through this water. So what happened? The dissolved ions, suppose in water inside the colloidal solution, the dissolved ions are H plus and Cl minus. Suppose you think the dissolved ions are H plus and Cl minus. Then what will happen? H plus and Cl minus ions will be attracted by the opposite electrodes which are kept in water. So they will come out very fast along with the water. So the process of dialysis will be fast. So since we use electricity for dialysis, this type of dialysis is called electrodialysis. When we pass electricity, the movement of solvent across the membrane will be made faster because the ions which is dissolved in water will be attracted strongly by cathode and anode. But the colloid cannot come out because of pore size of the dialyzing membrane, the membrane which is used for dialysis, its pore size is very small. So the process of dialysis can be made faster by using electricity. So this process is called electrodialysis. Now the process is called ultrafiltration. Filtration, you know what it is. We use filter paper. Ordinary filter paper cannot be used for filtering colloidal particles. So ordinary filter paper has big pore size. The filter paper which you use in the lab for salt analysis and all, that cannot be used for any of the filtrations of colloids because its pore size is big. So what we use is, we use filter papers of very small pore size. So how we prepare ultra filters? We prepare specially designed filter papers known as ultra filters. Colloidal particle can pass through ordinary filter paper because of the pores are too large. However, the pores of the filter paper can be reduced in size by mixing with impregnating means by dipping it with colloidon solution. Colloidon solution. How a colloidon solution is prepared? When we take 4% solution of nitrocellulose and mix that nitrocellulose with alcohol and ether, that mixture is called collodion. That mixture is called collodion. So then what we do is, the ultra filter paper, to prepare the ultra filter paper, we mix the colloidal solution. Yeah, we dip the filter paper inside the colloidal solution or inside the solution of this colloidon. Sorry, collodion. So we take ordinary filter paper and we mix it with we dip it inside collodion. Collodion is what? A 4% solution of nitrocellulose in a mixture of alcohol and water. So when we mix it with the solution of collodion, what happens is the filter paper become hard, and then again that filter paper again dip in formaldehyde and then we dry it. So the pore size of ordinary filter paper can be reduced in that way. Okay. So then what we do is filtration. We do the filtration using ultra filter paper. It is called ultra filter paper. Ultra filtration. Oh yeah, it is ultra filters. So what happens when you filter? The colloidal particles cannot pass through ultra filters. Ultra filters will filter the colloidal particles. Only medium will pass through. So along with the medium, all dissolved impurities will pass through. Then the left out particles, colloidal particles on the filter paper will be collected and it will be mixed with a fresh medium so that pure colloidal solution can be prepared. Now it comes to properties of colloids. Properties of colloids, you are very, very familiar with the first properties: Tyndall effect, color, Brownian moment, and charge of colloidal particles, and electrophoresis. So the first is Tyndall effect. When light passes through colloidal particles, this you studied in class 9 as well. When light passes through colloidal particle, the path of the light beam is visible. Because colloidal particles are big, they will scatter the light. Ordinary light consists of 7 colors. Which particular wavelength is getting scattered more? That depend upon the particle size of the colloidal solution. We have obscure in white light. Violet, indigo, blue, green, orange, yellow. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Obscure. So we have 7 colors. Any of the wavelength, if it is scattering, that particular solution will be appears to be having that particular color. Suppose the particles are scattering blue more, the colloidal solution will be appearing blue. So then there will question arises, why true solution do not give any color normally with white light or any other colored light, any other light like UV, IR, whatever it is. Because true solution particles are small, it cannot scatter light particles. The true solution particles are very small. They cannot scatter true solution particles. They cannot scatter light. Whereas colloidal solution particles have an appropriate size. So it will scatter light and the solution appears to be colored. And the path of the light will be visible when we pass a beam of light through a colloid. This you can do in a dark room. When we pass a beam of light ray through a colloidal solution, the solution will give a color. That the property of colloidal solution to scatter the beam of light, and the path of the light will be visible. The path of the light will be visible. That is very important. The path of the light will be visible when the particles of colloid scatter light. This property is called a Tyndall effect. You can see the light pass through colloidal solution. The path of the light is visible here. This is due to scattering of light by colloidal particles. So this is all what we have discussed. True solution does not show Tyndall effect, cannot show because the particles are small. Now, Tyndall effect is observed under these conditions. Diameter of dispersed particles is not much smaller than the wavelength of light. The diameter of the colloidal particle should be big enough. The refractive indices of the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium differ greatly in magnitude. There should be great difference in this refractive indices of the dispersion medium and the dispersed phase. Now, Tyndall effect is seen using an apparatus known as ultra microscope, which is a apparatus used to observe Tyndall effect. That is called a ultra microscope. This figure you can see. This microscope is called ultra microscope. The second property, colloids are colored. The color of the, I have discussed along with the Tyndall effect, the color of the colloidal solution depend upon the wavelength of the light scattered by the dispersed particles. The wavelength of light further depend upon the size and nature of the particles. Light scattered, the wavelength of the light scattered. Here we have to add scattered. Further depend upon the size and nature of the particles. The color of the colloidal solution also changes with the manner in which the observer receives the light. You can see the vessel apparatus of the colloidal solution perpendicular to it. Here given example. For example, a mixture of milk and water appears blue when viewed by the reflected light and red when viewed by the transmitted light. The reflected light we are viewing, the mixture of milk and water appears blue when viewed by reflected light and when viewed by and red when viewed by transmitted light. Fine particles of gold sol is red in color. As the size of the particle of gold particles increases, it appears purple and finally become golden. If very finely powdered gold particles are mixed with water, by breadings are gathered, very finely powdered gold particles are added to water, the sol appears to be red. If we mix little bit bigger particles with water, then it appears to be purple. And if it is sufficiently big, then the sol appears to be golden. Now it comes to Brownian movement. In Brownian movement, the zigzag motion of colloidal particles is known as Brownian motion. When you can see the colloidal particles in the dispersion medium and the dispersed phase. Suppose we don't have any eyesight, think like that. Your eyes are tired and you are asked to move randomly in a class. Every fraction of second you will collide with your neighboring person. Okay, if like that, colloidal particles, when they move in the solution, they collide with each other and with the walls of the vessel. But the zigzag motion, which will hit one particle, hit the other particle, then move here, move there. The zigzag motion in small lines, see, this is known as Brownian motion. And I want to make a thing very clear. Colloidal particles are having charge. How the charge comes, we will discuss in coming slides. Each particle is having any one of the charge. Suppose this is colloidal solution of starch, it has a particular charge. All particles are having same charge. If these are having positive charge, this is also having positive, this is also positive. One particular colloidal solution has one charge. Colloids, all colloidal solutions are having charge. Some are having positive charge, some are having negative charge. But in a particular colloid, particles will have only one type of charge. So arsenous sulfide salt is negatively charged. Ferric hydroxide salt is positively charged, like that. So suppose it is ferric hydroxide salt, all these particles are positive. These are colloidal particles, not the medium. So these particles will never come closer. Why they will never come closer? They have lot of, these particles will have lot of repulsions between them, since they are having same charge. This is also a positive particle, this is also a positive particle. So when they hit, because they are randomly moving, they will hit, they will never come closer. They will always move apart and hit with other molecules very strongly. So this disturbing motion, this uneven distribution of colloidal particle, this randomizing motion is known as Brownian motion. That is a reason colloid will never settle under gravity, because they have same charge. They're always in Brownian motion. This is Robert Brown has discovered this motion. So this exact motion is known as Brownian motion. So colloids will never settle under gravity. This is what. Brownian moment is due to unbalanced bombardment of particles in the molecules of the dispersion medium. Since the colloidal particles in the medium have same charge, understand, same charge, it is not positive and negative, only one charge one colloid will have. If the particle of starch is positive, all particle will be positive. If it is negative, all particles will have negative charge. Otherwise, they will neutralize if they have opposite charges. The Brownian moment have a stirring effect because they will never settle, which does not permit the particles to settle, thus responsible for the stability of salts. That is why the salts are not settling. The charge is responsible for stability of colloid. Otherwise, it will become a precipitate soon. It will settle down. That's all for this video today. Now the second video, we will continue. Thank you, students. Go through those videos in many times, and then